That's pretty interesting. I clicked the button and I didn't click the other button and it went live anyway. Either way, I'm already live, so let's roll with it. Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2. I hear a computer sound. I'm wondering if that sound is coming from here. Let's see. Mic check 1 2. All right. So that tells me that my laptop can't be plugged into the same mic unless I have a little magnet to go and muffle that sound. Either way, I can't really hear myself too much, so I'm going to turn it up a little bit. And I never even got a chance to edit anything. It's 11:30 at night, and I decide to go live. I was working the entire few days on a project, a challenge. I've done some polling and got some feedback, and so it's at that point now where I believe I'm ready to put the other components together. I was listening to some videos and some people talking, and this is something I would like to know from you, the viewers, when you get a chance to watch this one, because I know most of you guys are asleep right now. And that is it better to give away free content to display expertise in a particular niche and then charge for access to the community and access to knowledge, more knowledge? That's something I'm open to hearing what your thoughts are. Also, is it better to charge for everything in tiers? And what do I mean by that? So, you give away some knowledge, or I was always taught you give away the what, but not the how. So, you demonstrate that you know what you're talking about, and then you charge for the how, and then even that has varying degrees. So you charge for the basic how, and then you charge a little bit more for the intermediate how, and then you charge for the deep dive how. Of course, the price changes at each level. So I'm curious to know what you guys feel about that at this time. I'm not planning to be on here for a long length of time. I recently modified the lighting to make the camera softer but a little bit brighter. I know that's camera talk for you guys who have no clue as to what I'm talking about. Let me back it up a bit. I wanted a not so sharp but also brighter image. When you go into the movie theater, they call that a cinematic view. Of course, not all movies are created equal. Some movies you can see that it's really crisp, especially for those movies that are being shot in what's considered daylight. And then as it becomes night light, they still have lights on because you can't see in the pitch dark, but the images are, I want to avoid using the word soft because that's the correct word. It's not as detailed. So You can't count the pores on the face. You can't count the hair. It's all blended to look like it's flowing continuously. Of course, when it's daylight, you can count the pores. You can count the pores on the skin because it's bright. I've been watching various videos, and of course, everybody has different cameras. You know, you have these $6,000 cameras, these $5,000 cameras. I don't have one readily available to show you how it looks, but you have different cameras and they capture images. The faster it captures the image, it causes the quality to change. And I mean, we're talking aperture. Anyway, I got off on a little tangent. The question that came up, I was looking at a question earlier. I answered it earlier. Another question came up. The first question dealt with starting a business with no money, and I gave some examples as to how to start a business with no money. But then another question came up, and it stated, in fact, I'll read it. It's on the screen here. It says, "What kind of business can someone start up with $6,000?" Well, obviously, if you can start for free, having access to $6,000 means that you can start at a higher level. In fact, I'm going to see if I can modify my screen here, if I can get back to it. Wherever I'm broadcasting, whichever. Anyway, I don't see it now, but I know that I was live someplace earlier. Here we go. So if I go to edit this and I change this to answers to previously asked questions about business. Should be really AI. Some of the stuff I described about AI, but I made it broad because AI is almost everywhere. It's like electricity. So, all right, we got it. I know I could tell some people I'm on here just to create an audience that would look good for the algorithm, but that's fine. So this is just me looking at these questions. I'm going to eventually, well, one of them I answered. So this one here, what kind of business? 13 people answered this question already. And one went into e-commerce, starting an online store selling products or drop shipping. And another one went into freelancing, offering freelancing services. Another one went into a food truck. I think my family has a food truck, and from my understanding, the truck is almost 50 grand. So I don't know how you're gonna start a food truck with $6,000. Then event planning, catering, and so on. I guess if the people are prepaying for the items, then you don't need the float. But insurance alone costs a few dollars. Especially, you got to have insurance per venue in case somebody gets hurt at a venue, and you never know when these kids start to party. Now I've seen some old folks partying. I think they could be wilder than the kids. But that's a topic for another time. Then tutoring or teaching, offering tutoring services. Okay. And I see those as a few ideas. Um, Let me see what other answers came up here. 13 answers. I'm not seeing the other answers. Really? I only see one answer. And let's go to recent, see if that was going to do anything. All right. So I guess I can only see the last answer. Continue on the conversation. Okay. Not really. And the answer didn't even come from, it looks like AI answered the question. Where am I now? I'm in POE. Never been here before. What is, I'll check this app out later. So, a little bit about me in case I didn't, so I can just capture this on camera while I'm here, and then later on I'll go back and chop it up and use it for another purpose. People often ask, well, I'll go back and specifically talk about one individual that I've known for over 15 years. So I call him up and I'm asking for referrals. Now, it would have been helpful to qualify this before asking for referrals. Anyway, at some point in the conversation, I got a hint that he had no idea what I do. Poor marketing on my part. I said, dude, you've known me for 15 plus years. What do you believe I do? He said, you're a networker. You have the ability to network with anybody, anytime. Is that all you think I do? He said, that's all I know. Every time I see you, you're either standing on stage, you're in front of the room in some capacity, or you're in the back of the room controlling everything. And I'm like, that's interesting. So, did you know that my background is information technology? He said, I know that you're good with computers, and I know that you're good with audio equipment, but I didn't think that was what you do. I said, yeah. Well, I actually went to school for marketing. I went to AIU online many years ago. I started there and I went to school for business administration with a concentration on marketing. Never finished. The first time they asked me to teach the class, I was like, well, if I'm paying you to teach me and you're asking me to teach the class, then I don't need to be here. Yes, I was young and arrogant. I didn't quite understand what was going on. I was being taught to speak in front of the room. And so years later, I'm beginning to understand. But I grew up, my father is a elder. I had an uncle who was a pastor and a bishop, and I had, my mom was an evangelist, and I had an aunt who was also a pastor. So from a young age, when we were in church, we had to do teachings and speakings from in front, looking at everybody. So for me, I figured every kid knows how to speak in front. If you go to Bible study or you go to children's church, you have to get up and speak. So I thought everybody knew how to do that until I came to the United States, and that doesn't seem to be the case. Some people go through their entire lives and they can't talk for jack. You put them in front of the room and might as well you brought them a coffin. But I consider myself to be an introvert. I don't speak often. When I do have something to say, then I say, but I'm not one to rush to the front of the room to say something. So, concluding with this particular individual, so I started educating him on what I do. He also knew that I had an insurance license. The conversation concluded with me walking away feeling that I spend a lot of time helping everybody get what they want while neglecting what I need, which is to make people aware of what I do. So, going back to this question, what kind of business? I don't think it's so much business. I think it more has to do with where your passion and proficiency intersect. Because I can talk about a particular business. For example, I decided, you know what? I want to create a print on demand store. I had it laying dormant for months. Okay, no problem. I created something, created a ad and design and put it on and stuck it out there. You have a business. Not everybody can do that though. Not everybody has that interest level to do that either. And so business is not a one size fits all. It's more where your passion and proficiency intersect. And it's not necessarily passion in what you're proficient at. Sometimes the passion is in the desired end state, not necessarily what you're doing. For example, somebody wants to purchase a home. That's the desired end state. And they are great at customer service. And the only opportunities that are available or in demand is working at McDonald's doing customer service. You may not like working at McDonald's. You do like living in the house of your dreams. So your passion is to live in the house of your dream. Your proficiency is customer service. So you're working at McDonald's that you don't necessarily like to do, but you're good at it because your desired end state is to accumulate the income you need to purchase that home. So in a case like that, it's not crossing over directly, but the desired end state. And you're going to come across some situations where what you're passionate about, I'll give you another example. I'm looking at some of these other questions here. You're working to pay the bills, similar to the previous example, but you really dislike getting up to go to work. So your passion, you've got to now create the passion with the vision of why you're doing it. So it's not the thing that you're doing that you're passionate about, it's the results, the reason why you're doing it that you're passionate about. And that enables you to do it to the best of your ability. Because at the end of the day, you're performing for an audience of one, and that's with your creator, because your only job, your only function is to know your creator and to make your creator known to others. That's it. Everything else, it's like filling a jar with sand and all the important stuff, call it golf balls, are outside the jar. So then you don't have any room for anything else because you fill it up with all this insignificant stuff, all these what we call insignificant relationships because they appear to be important. But trust and believe, when you're on your sick bed looking back, those grains of sand, those relationships that appear to have been important at the time, you find that they're not really that important anymore. And the ones that you are passionate about, those are the ones that you think about. And so this is something that I should probably dive in a little bit more into, but for the purpose of this video, I just wanted to answer that one question, which is what can you start with $6,000? And whether it's an online business or brick and mortar business that you're taking over, such as a food truck, whatever it is, you've got to be passionate about the business or the reason you're doing the business. And you have to have demonstrated a level of proficiency or be smart enough to hire somebody who's proficient at performing the activities in that business. And that's basically how that's going to always play out. You're the entrepreneur, you're the business owner, you're Warren Buffett. You don't know how to build airplanes. You hired somebody who's proficient at building airplanes, and your passion is to see it make a profit. You don't necessarily want to go and build airplanes. And so that's it. My name is Samuel F. Robinson, and whichever camera is live, whether it's this one or that one, I wanted to jump on here. I believe that I should probably start like a late night podcast. If that's something that you would be interested in, let me know. I'm always up at this time anyway. So now I got to figure out which screen is broadcasting and then shut it down. Ah, there we go. It's this one. So if I press this button,